Welcome in to this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I am Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are going to take an updated look at the Chiefs depth chart. This is our first glance at how things look for the Kansas City Chiefs after the NFL draft, as well as with the UDFAs that have signed. We will tell you what stands out to me and go over some of the position battles to watch here on today's program. Folks, with the draft out of the way, the next thing coming is real football, folks. It'll be here before we know it. If you're excited for Chiefs football to return in 2025, spam C in the comments section. I want to see as many C's as we can over this next minute. If we get 300 C's in the chat, I'll shout out whoever spams it the most in the comments section. Spam C, and we'll get going here on today's show. So I'll be honest, this depth chart might surprise you. And here's what I mean by this, folks. This was a very good rookie class, but not everybody is guaranteed to be a starter right away. All right? We'll explain a little further. There is some work to be done here. Let's begin with the quarterback position for the Kansas City Chiefs. And all of this, by the way, is at the time of this recording as of Tuesday. So by the time you may be watching this, there could be some changes. But at the moment, Kansas City with 4 quarterbacks on the roster: Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew, Bailey Zappe, and Chris O as your QB4 as of right now. And we know that Patrick obviously is QB1. That's not changing. But the battle for QB2, I don't think is much of a battle. I would be surprised if Bailey Zappe overtook Gardner Minshew to be the QB2. Andy Reid has talked about Gardner Minshew in recent weeks in his pre-draft press conference. He spent some time specifically on Gardner Minshew and is really high on Gardner Minshew. He talked about his relationship already with Patrick Mahomes, that the two of them are on the same page there. So Gardner Minshew, I'm excited about too. I think that he's more than capable of getting the job done as a backup quarterback. Hopefully we never have to hear or see from him. But if, God forbid, something happens to Patrick Mahomes, Gardner Minshew can get the job done and be a good placeholder if that day were to come along. The running back room for Kansas City has gone through a little bit of change. Isiah Pacheco is still your RB1 with Kareem Hunt behind him. Kareem Hunt with a new contract. Elijah Mitchell comes in from the San Francisco 49ers. Carson Steele is also there, the man of Steele. Had a bit of an up-and-down rookie campaign last year. And then you got Smith, Brashard Smith, who the Chiefs drafted from SMU, and then Ingram is still around as well. And as I have scouted Smith a little further and gotten more details of what he brings to the table, he's not the biggest guy. He's got some speed on him, and he's got some special team skills as a returner. Call me crazy, but he kind of reminds me of Darren Sproles. And I know that it feels like every team in the league is trying to find the next Darren Sproles. The Kansas City Chiefs very well may have found that in Brashard Smith potentially. And I don't know if he's ever going to be a starting running back for this Chiefs team, but he is a nice back that offers something completely different than what we see from Pacheco and Hunt. I think he's going to play a significant role in this Chiefs offense. We'll go over the rest of the depth chart in a moment, but first, we need you guys to grade the Chiefs depth chart. What do you think of what the Chiefs have to offer in 2025? Get your grades in, A, B, C, D, or F, way in the comments section, and let us know. For the best Chiefs coverage around, you got to be subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we continue to bring you our daily news and rumors. We're live each and every Tuesday. We are bringing you breaking news, Q&A mailbag, sometimes multiple videos a day. If you love the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the channel for you. We're getting close to 72,000 subscribers, but we need your help to get there. I want to get at least 20 subs off today's video. Subscribe now for free. Stay up to date with everything going on with your Kansas City Chiefs. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. To subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. The receiver room for Kansas City is headlined by Xavier Worthy, who was the Chiefs team rookie of the year last year, and he was much better in the second half of the season, taking the role as the wide receiver 1. Rashee Rice is expected to be fully healthy in time for training camp. He was on fire prior to the injury that he suffered, looking like a top 10 receiver. Hollywood Brown, they got back at the end of the season. Juju returns. Royals was drafted out of Utah State. I think this group is loaded. And we always look at these situations where you say to yourself, okay, can you get a little bit better? Do you need to add one more maybe? And we saw the Chiefs kind of toeing with this last year when they added Juju before the season began, when they traded for DeAndre Hopkins at the trade deadline. With the uncertainty of what is potentially to come with a suspension possibly for Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, and then the injury concerns that we've seen in the past with Rashee Rice as well as Juju Smith-Schuster and Hollywood Brown, you have built a safety net of sorts. Sky Moore is going to get the hell out of here. He's going to get ready to learn Chinese or something because Jalen Royals is here, and I think he's going to get playing time immediately in this Chiefs offense. And if for whatever reason, if an injury or suspension happens, Royals, I think, is going to have his name called upon right away and play a key piece of this Chiefs offense. They now have the depth to take care of things if something bad does end up happening. This is the best receiving core we've seen in Kansas City in quite some time. The tight end room for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce is back. Thank goodness. Noah Gray also returning off the best season of his career. And although the Chiefs did not draft a tight end, much to the chagrin of Mel Kiper Jr., they still have other options. Did we forget about Jared Wiley? Bringing Steele, who they drafted from Clemson, has some potential, or signed as UDFA, rather. You know, Anthony Fursker is still there. There's some other guys. Don't sleep on Jared Wiley. I feel like I need to warn y'all of that you can't be sleeping on Jared Wiley. People forget, just because he had this ACL injury and missed a lot of time, that he was highly thought of by the Chiefs when they selected him in the 4th round. And the comparisons that he was drawing coming out of the draft was to none other than Travis Kelce. So for me, I would even take this a step further. I like Noah Gray, but I think he is who he is at this point. I think he is a solid number 2 tight end, one of the best number 2 tight ends in the league, right up there with Isiah Likely. But I don't think he is ever going to be good enough to take that next step, be that number 1 tight end. I think Wiley has a higher ceiling than what Noah Gray does to be that number 1 tight end. Watch out for him. Don't sleep on what he could potentially do. Now, this is going to ruffle some feathers when I look at the offensive line here. The starting 5, as of right now, is Jalen Moore at left tackle, Kingsley at left guard, Creed at center, Trey Smith at right guard, Juwan Taylor at right tackle. But Tyler, what about your first-round pick, Josh Simmons? About that, I'll explain here in a moment. You got Mike Caliendo, of course, back there. Wanya Morris, among others here. There's actually some depth to this. But here's the truth of the matter when it comes to Josh Simmons. If we know anything from Andy Reid, nothing around here is given. Everything is earned. And while I expect when the season begins that Josh Simmons will work his way into the starting lineup, either as a guard or a tackle, and I think that he and Jalen Moore will both be starters on this Chiefs offense, at this very moment, at this point in time, Josh Simmons has to earn his way into the starting lineup. He has to prove that he is fully healthy and that he can pick up the offense and that he's ready to go. It's a work in progress. I think he will, but at this very moment, he's not there yet. He's going to have to go out there and earn it. So that might surprise some people. That might irritate some folks. Believe me, I understand. But the job is far from finished. He's got a lot of work to do before he earns that starting role, which I do think he will. Should Josh Simmons start week 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in the comments section below. Speaking of Josh Simmons, his jersey is on sale now at chatsports.com/Chiefs jerseys. You can get yours now while supplies last. You may see the number 1 there, but don't worry. We will get you his jersey with his updated number once we have that number. And you can get yours at chatsports.com/Chiefs jerseys. Maybe you're not wanting a Josh Simmons jersey. Maybe you want somebody else. That's okay, too. That same link has all sorts of Chiefs jerseys that you can go check out for yourself. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. It's chatsports.com/Chiefs jerseys to get yours today. Right in time for the summer. And if you're looking for a Simmons jersey, I think now's the perfect time because you get it at the very beginning of his career. Go check it out, chatsports.com/Chiefs jerseys. Let's go to the defense now. And this defensive line, there's some good dudes here, folks. Chris Jones is back. Mike Pennell is back. Mike Dana, George Karlaftis. Really good 4 there on your defensive front. Behind them, you got some depth. Charles Omenihu, I thought, was really good in the second half of the season. We came back from injury. He hit the free agent market. He was humbled a bit. Was hoping for more money, settled for a 1-year, $7 million deal with Kansas City. We like to see King Felix step up. We've been waiting today, Junior, but it hasn't happened yet. I think this is a make-or-break year for him, the former first-round pick. Omarr Norman-Lott, I think, begins as a backup to Mike Pennell. He was never a full-time starter at Tennessee, so it's going to take some time for him to adapt. And Gillotte, who I personally am not so high on, he's got some work to do to get up there. Sack numbers were down significantly this past year. I would like to see him show more of that ability before he gets the chance to potentially earn his way into the rotation in the starting lineup. I'll say this, though. With names you recognize behind that solid starting 4, when we talk about Gillotte, Norman-Lott, King Felix, there's some real depth there. If something does happen, you got guys to fill in the gaps, to fill in the void. And we saw what the Philadelphia Eagles did to the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't have to remind you, but how did they do it? They did it with their defensive line. I think with all those names we mentioned and all those pieces behind, there's no reason why the Kansas City Chiefs can't do the exact same thing the Philadelphia Eagles did on their opposing teams this year. They should be able to dominate up front with that D-line. The linebacker room for Kansas City, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill lead the way there. Leo Chenal also returns. Got some new names in there as well into the mix. I like Bassa. I think he's going to offer something different than what we've seen with Nick Bolton. I love Nick Bolton, don't get me wrong, but he's not great in coverage. Bass could potentially come in maybe for Nick Bolton in those third down situations, or maybe they could be on the field together. I think this is a sneaky good group. No one is going to give them the credit that they deserve. All right? The mainstream media, we already know, is out to get the Kansas City Chiefs. It's, one of the biggest scams out there that we've seen in recent memory. But they sure as hell are not going to give credit to this linebacker room. And I'm glad Nick Bolton's back. I think this is a great group. And some people think that Nick Bolton might even be the best player on this Chiefs defense. Who do you think is the best player in this Chiefs defense? Is it Nick Bolton? Is it Chris Jones? Is it another guy by the name of McDuffie that we're going to talk about here in just a moment? Weigh in. Let me know who you believe is the best player on the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Let's go to the corner room now. And last year the Chiefs had some issues when it came to the corner position. After Jalen Watson went down, all hell broke loose. Najee Johnson was not good. Some of these other guys, Joshua Williams, it was kind of disgusting, in all honesty, what we saw from this corner room last year. But they've invested. I love the draft pick of Noah Williams from Cal. He's a turnover machine. They signed Christian Fulton. And they got some guys on the outside now with Fulton and Williams that's going to allow Trent McDuffie to go back to his natural position of Trent McDuffie. But one question remains. What's going to happen with Jalen Watson? Is Jalen Watson going to return? Is he going to get traded? I've mentioned this many times before. Brett Veach has never re-signed a homegrown defensive back. We expect them to do that with Trent McDuffie. But what about Jalen Watson? Does he get traded before the season begins, or do they kind of let things ride out and let Noel Williams and others compete for the other outside corner spot. At this point in time, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know what they will do. But it will be something to monitor to see if Watson gets traded or not. Should the Chiefs trade Jalen Watson? He has been injury prone too. As much as I like him, now might be your best chance to get something out of him before you have to pay him. Should they trade Jalen Watson, type T for trade, K for keep, your chance to be the GM and let us know. Let's wrap up the defense with the safeties unit. Jaden Hicks returns off of an outstanding rookie campaign. The former fourth-round pick out of Washington State. Brian Cook is there. Bush, Mike Edwards, Jason Taylor the second as well. And you might call this a hot take, but you don't come here for cold takes. I'll say this. For as much as everybody was sad to see Justin Reid leave, Justin Reid had a good run here in Kansas City. I think right now Jaden Hicks is better than Justin Reid. I don't think you're going to see any fall off. In fact, I think you're going to see things improve with him there. I think I have very high hopes for Jaden Hicks that he's going to have a great year and slide into that safety role just fine there. We wrap up with the Chiefs special teams unit. And this special teams unit, I laugh every time I see this group on screen because it just automatically triggers a certain faction of people with Harrison Butker at kicker, Matt Ariza at punter, James Winchester, my guy, he's back at long snapper. Nico, your kick return and punt return specialist. I also think we will see Brashard Smith as kind of your number 2 kick returner as well, who they drafted from SMU we talked about earlier. And the thing I like more than anything about this special teams unit, not everybody in the NFL can say this. This group will not let me down. I can count on them all the time. I got the most accurate kicker in the league in Harrison Butker. I got Matt Ariza with the strongest leg of any punter. James Winchester is a hell of a long snapper. He makes plays for a long snapper, believe it or not. And then Nico's a decent returner. I think Brashard's going to be solid as well. I like the special teams unit. They're not going to let me down. They're going to do their job. Do your job. Thanks for watching today's show. If you made it to the end of today's video, you already know what to do. Spam real one in the comments section. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.